Before I get to some of the policy issues, can I just congratulate those of you who've been out hitting the streets this morning and talking to people about solar power and renewable energy policies. I think there is a danger in this area that we will take for granted the fact that even on one news poll, 98% of Australians support renewable energy. Now, I mean, I think if you polled Australians about whether they support the notion that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, I'm not sure you get 98% of Australians to agree on anything, but 98% of Australians agree on this. But we shouldn't take for granted that people understand the nuances of renewable energy policy and the degree to which this is going to be an issue at the elections. So it is important that people like you, motivated activists, get out and talk to people on the footpaths, in your own communities when you return home, to just make sure that this is a front and centre election policy issue, because Australia is very much at a crossroads on renewable energy policy for reasons I'll just very quickly outline. Thank you for those cards, that's great. I'm going to get my staff members not even sort of putting a card up, for Christ's sake. The last 15 years have been a roller coaster. I'm going to talk a bit about renewable energy generally, not just solar power, because Labor's taken the view that our renewable energy policies, broadly speaking, should be technology neutral. We just want renewable energy. I mean, you've seen a very big expansion in wind power, particularly in my state of South Australia, and now I think you're going to see solar really take off because of that cost curve that's come down, allowing utility scale solar really to take off. But we had 6 or 7 years there of enormous success. When we came to government in 2007, there were only 7,000 households in the whole country that had solar panels on their roofs. And by the time we were thrown out of government, there were 1.3 million. In just 6 years, 7,000 to 1.3 million. We tripled the amount of wind power generation in this country at a time or during a period that included the GFC. We tripled the number of jobs in renewable energy. And in our last year in government, we were able to announce the approval of the largest PV solar farm in the Southern Hemisphere and the largest wind farm in the Southern Hemisphere, all with the support of ARENA and the Clean Energy Finance Corporation that were brought into being with the very strong support of Larissa's party during our period in government, and as Claire said, are still slated for abolition by Malcolm Turnbull and Greg Hunt. So it was enormously successful. Talking about the best minister in the world there, keep some respect, people. So big jobs up, you know, but enormous investment, and as Tony Abbott's own handpicked panel confirmed, it was actually putting downward pressure on power prices during a period where power prices, largely because of network investment, were going through the roof. This was actually helping keeping pressure down. So by 2013, we were, along with China, the US and Germany, one of the 4 most attractive places on the face of the earth in which to invest in renewable energy. And you would have thought that Tony Abbott would have embraced that legacy from our government and said, thank you very much. But you didn't account for the fact that wind farms aren't very pretty. They're just not very pretty ways to make electricity, unlike those fossil fuel power plants. I have 4 of them in my electorate. They're gorgeous. They're just gorgeous pieces of public art. They're generating electrons, sort of pushing them through the transmission and distribution network. So what Tony Abbott did, because of his sense of aesthetics, was to attack the renewable energy industry to the point where in 2014, investment in our country plummeted by 88%. Thousands of people lost their jobs, and the renewable energy industry, a global industry, was looking to Australia and frankly deciding whether to shift all of their operations to one of the hundreds of countries around the world that wanted that investment. Coincidentally, Canada's investment increased by 88% during that same year, where ours plummeted by 88%. So we've got a very difficult position in front of us. We've got an industry that in the large-scale sector is still really struggling with confidence because of the blow to confidence that was dealt by Tony Abbott and hasn't recovered yet. We haven't had enough investment last year or starting this year to get even to the renewable energy target we have for 2020. We need Malcolm Turnbull and Greg Hunt to join with people who are in this room who want the renewable energy industry to thrive and grow over coming years. And until they do that, there simply won't be the investment that we need. So Labor's position going into the election is clear. We didn't want to talk about the 2020 RET. That was a policy that was decided in the last decade. We wanted to talk during this term of Parliament about our ambition beyond 2020, particularly about 2030. So as you would have heard, we have a policy that was endorsed by our National Conference of ensuring that at least 50% of Australia's electricity is sourced from renewable energy sources by 2030. We have a policy of making sure that ARENA and the Clean Energy Finance Corporation are kept in place to keep doing all of their extraordinary work. But it is incredibly important that in this election, Malcolm Turnbull and Greg Hunt are not let off the hook. The renewable energy industry will go to other countries if they don't think this is a proper place, a safe place to invest. If they don't do that, they will simply move to other countries. So I really do congratulate you all for taking the time to come here over the last few days, think through those issues, get out onto the footpaths and talk to Australians, not just about whether they support renewables, because people do, but whether they're actually going to make sure that this election has renewable energy policy right at the front and the centre. Thank you very much.